Welcome back to 12 News this morning, 9:41 on your Tuesday. He thought he was doing everything right, but a Wichita man wound up getting scammed out of thousands of dollars.
That man who we are calling William to protect his identity says the money was taken right out of his local credit union account, and he tells fact finder Brendan Stitt getting that money back will be next to impossible.
Everything looked real to me.
It started with a computer virus warning.
There's a virus in your computer. We're going to scan your computer and clean the virus.
It was a scam in the making. That computer scan took about an hour. Then another message.
And you need to call this number.
William called. Another scammer answers.
There's a website then authorized to pull $23,000 out of your account.
The scammers tell William in order to protect his money, he has to pull it out and send it to the U.S. Treasury in New York. Emailed letters soon followed. Letters that to William looked real.
The letter had Golden Plains Credit Union on it.
Golden Plains Credit Union is where William has his account. A fake letter then comes from the FDIC. He calls another phone number.
And a lady from Social Security answered.
William gets detailed instructions. Pull all of your money out of your account. Lie about the reasons for the withdrawal. Send all of it to New York with a promise it will be safe and later return.
I pulled it out and followed their instructions and sent it.
Golden Plains Credit Union and UPS both questioned the legitimacy of the transaction, but William admits he was afraid of losing his money.
So I was motivated by fear, basically.
He's not alone. Last year, $3.4 billion was stolen, according to a newly released FBI report, with more than 100,000 complaints filed to federal law enforcement last year alone. Driven by criminal networks operating in West Africa and Asia, getting any money back is next to impossible. The FBI warning, if you've never met the person, never send them money.
If I'd done nothing, just clicked off the computer and didn't do any calls, I'd been a lot better off.
Now the FBI urges American financial institutions to enact more fraud prevention measures to stop seniors from transferring large sums of money to strangers.